to invite you to join me on an adventure to Bordeaux here virtually. And if you give me a second, I'm going to share my screen and I'll invite you to go ahead and mute yourselves. And you're welcome to either leave your cameras on or off. Either way, it's perfectly okay. And hopefully you see this lovely site that says, "We are going there." I always look at that first picture and say, I want to be right there. For those of you whom I haven't met before, my name is KK Offray. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Expedia Wine Club Cruises, and we are just delighted to have this opportunity to join with Karen and Blake from Torr Lochs Vineyard and Winery and explore the wonderful adventure of a Bordeaux wine cruise. So, of course, this wine cruise is going to take place June 6th of 24. We were just chatting a little earlier about how not everyone is quite ready to think of 24, and yet it is in so many ways right around the corner. When you're talking about a small ship like this, before you know it, the space is gone and the adventure begins. So that adventure, of course, that we're talking about is the wine cruise coming up in 24. I'll say it a couple times to make sure that we're all clear there. And we're going to experience the wine tastings on board. We're going to have some great wine-themed excursions, of course, Bordeaux being the heart of the wine capital of France. And you're going to experience it all with your host, none other than Karen and Blake DeBerry. Grateful that you're joining us and participating in this. And of course, we have selected AmaWaterways as our river cruise of choice. And so AmaWaterways, of course, also extends their welcome to you to join them in Bordeaux. And when we think of why we have chosen AmaWaterways, because truthfully, we are the wine cruise specialists. We could choose anyone to place our wine cruises on. But there's reasons why we choose AmaWaterways. The family-owned and operated feel makes it very different. It's very personal. And when you experience the service, the just friendly and not stuffy, it's formal but not stuffy, on environment on board really shines through. And of course, there's so many things that we like that Ama does, but the culinary aspect is one of the main reasons that we choose them for our wine programs. Because let's face it, when you're having great wine, you want to make sure that you're having great food with it, right? They pair well together. And of course, Ama features their included shore excursion program that we're going to talk a little bit about, the exceptional crew that I mentioned, and even some of the culinary delights. We're going to dive into those a little further. I'd really like to highlight the wine experience that you're going to have on board, and we're going to talk in more detail about it later. But part of this exclusive experience that you have includes the welcome aboard reception, 2 exclusive wine seminars, 2 exclusive wine food pairing dinners, as well as a farewell reception. And all of this is going to take place as we meander down the rivers. There's actually 2 rivers and an estuary to explore in Bordeaux. So of course, we're going to both begin and end in Bordeaux. It's a round trip. And we're going to explore the Garonne and the Dordogne rivers, as well as the Gironde estuary. So as we explore, we're going to do so aboard the AmaDolce. The AmaDolce is one of the smaller ships, which we really love. She carries only 144 guests, and she features French balconies, which is very important. The docks and some of the locks that we have to go through are a little bit smaller, and so she is the perfect size for this. And you see her there elegantly sailing down the river. The suites and staterooms are all spacious, and they're very well appointed. And again, I think you're going to find this wonderful, comfortable away from home away from home feel to the entire ship. That award-winning cuisine is so important. And of course, AmaWaterways is one of the only cruise lines, river cruise lines, that has been invited to be part of the Chaîne de Rôtisseurs. So this organization is one that you have to be invited to join, and you have to have already displayed your culinary expertise. So you're going to find that whether it be for the breakfasts and lunches, that can be either seated, plated, or buffet style, they are all always one step trying to outdo the day before. and they are great at adhering to. So if anyone has, for example, gluten-free itineraries or allergies, they're great at accommodating for those things. And of course, they also have a chef's table specialty restaurant on the ship. And so you're going to have an experience of not only a chaîne de rôtisseurs special dinner, but an opportunity to dine in that chef's table restaurant. And of course, because of where we are, the seafood is abundant, and they have this seafood buffet that is just extravagant and lovely, lovely. In addition to your wine program that you're going to enjoy, every day there's something called the Sip and Sail. So just prior to dinner, there's a cocktail hour that is included for complimentary spirits, wines, and you can have a great time together. And it's also a kind of fun because during that time is also when they're going to be talking about the tours for the next day. So it's very, very social time, and that's every day. And then in addition, they've done this great job of making coffees and teas and soft drinks and juices and even special mineral waters. And by mineral waters, I'm not talking about the Pellegrino kind. I'm talking about these wonderful glass carafes that have minerals in them, and every day they feature something special, almost like you would experience at a spa. It's just quite lovely. And of course, for those who do want to stay fit while traveling so that you can enjoy a little bit more of the great cuisine and the wine, you could participate in the wellness program. There's yoga up on the top deck in the morning. There's a fitness instructor on board, and it's really quite a lovely experience. That yoga on the top deck is really fun for all experience levels, I'd like to say. So for some of us, it was really more of a stretch, but it was just awesome. And this is one of my favorite features. It's the shore excursions. And of course, every day there will be shore excursions, and they're included. And that's really important to understand that for many of you, if you've been on large cruise ships before, you're going to find that, you know, part of the challenge is making sure that you've ordered everything in advance. And it's a little bit stressful sometimes choosing things before you really know what's going to happen. It's completely different on an AmaWaterways river cruise. It is so fluid that if you can imagine, you don't actually have to reserve any of your excursions in advance. Let's say that today you feel just really energetic and you take a hike to the top of the Citadel in one of the ports. And the next morning you wake up and you're thinking, that was maybe a little bit more than I was wanting to do. And maybe I'd rather take it a little bit slower today, but I've already signed up for the bike tour. You could walk down to the front desk and say, you know what, not quite feeling like that today. Would you mind maybe switching it for something else? They'll take back the tickets that you have. They'll give you the new ones. And that's how simple and fluid it is. And that makes all the difference in the world, because the whole idea is we want you to experience everything that you would like to explore in a comfort level that you would like. And when I say comfort level, really what I'm talking about is the fact that they have 3 different levels of walking for every tour. So if you can imagine that there is an active walker, an average walker, and a gentle walker. And if you think about those different paces, it's really about making sure that someone doesn't have to wait too much for someone else, but also that someone doesn't necessarily feel rushed, right? The object here is to enjoy and explore and really, really be able to take your time or rush through it depending on how you like. So yes, there's plenty of hikes and bikes, but there's also wonderful opportunities for you to just explore at a leisurely pace. When we discover this destination of Bordeaux, I don't know how many of you have been there before, but it's simply stunning. We're going to go to Saint-Emilion. Saint-Emilion is one of the highlights in Libourne, from Libourne. One of the things that I find really fascinating here is the fact that the vineyards themselves are a UNESCO World Heritage Site. They're actually the only ones. So that is how spectacular this region is. And you're going to find that as we go through Bordeaux and these wonderful sites that we're going to see, you're going to be tasting your way as well as touching and feeling and the aromas. So it's a real sensory experience all the way through. We're going to visit chateaus. There's actually several of them, some of them as far back as from the 18th century. What I love the fact is the ship is right within reach. So remember how we talked about that we're going down the rivers and coming back. And again, all these towns are right there close to us. So you'll see here, the ship is docked in Blaye. And then on our next image, you're going to find that this is the Citadel as we go up to the top. This is up in Bordeaux, but all of this we can see down over the ship. So from this particular wine, it's called a wine house. And of course, we get to go in and enjoy the local entertainment. And if you look out the back window, that ship that we saw in the picture just a couple of slides ago, that's what you can see out the back window. So things are very close by. It's a lot of fun. You can do a lot of walking. And then, of course, you're going to find that because we're going to Pauillac in the Medoc region, you're going to now explore some of the world's finest Bordeaux wines. There's some very, very famous chateaus in this area, Mouton Rothschild, Chateau Lafite Rothschild. You'll even visit a Grand Cru estate. It's a spectacular opportunity. And of course, when I laugh as I look at the name of this, and of course I will butcher it, but I'm going to go for it anyway. The Castle of Rochtiave is how I understand it's pronounced. For those of you who speak French, sorry, but it is so brilliant. This is a medieval castle, and of course, you have a chance to go and see the moats and the drawbridge that they have. And so we're stepping back in time throughout this region. And then we jump forward. This is, of course, La Cité du Vin. It's the City of Wine Museum. It is a very modern sculpture where you could explore forever in there. One of the things I always remind everyone is, A, Ama does not have a corkage fee, and B, make sure that you bring along a case of whatever an empty case to ship everything home with you with, because you're going to want to go and do some shopping. But it's a lot of fun. And then, of course, I mentioned that in order to pair our lovely wines, we need this great cuisine. Because of where we are, Aquitaine, for example, there is going to be the lovely fresh oysters. I always indulge when there. And of course, the mussels, being really close to the Bay of Biscayne. This is the Basque region. There's also some influences there. So you're going to have an opportunity to have wonderful seafood and very French little tidbits along the way. And of course, there's the wine, right? This is why we're all going. It's the wine. And so what I'd love to do is I'd love to invite Karen and Blake. Why don't you open up your microphone, and maybe you'd like to share with some of the folks who maybe don't know you so well a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, well,
I think most of you guys know us. Hopefully you do. And we've actually done this cruise before. We did it in June of 2019, and it was amazing. And we learned so much about Bordeaux wines. I think French wines can be very intimidating. And we learned so much. And it was a lot of fun to go up the West Bank, the right bank, whichever order it was.
Right and then left.
Right bank, then the left bank. And the wines are very different, and you quickly learn which ones are your favorites.
I'm left bank. I'll tell you that.
The scenery was absolutely stunning. And as KK mentioned, all the tours, which are included, the excursions, there's so much to choose from every day, morning and afternoon, most days. It's difficult actually to decide what you want to do.
Yeah, it's so true.
Are there going to be some extra paid excursions in this trip? I don't know if Brian.
I don't think we know that yet.
Or do we know that?
I think we're probably not quite there yet, but
Yeah,
I think the nice thing is that the excursions that are included, as you mentioned, they're all just brilliant.
Yeah, they are very good. And I would just say that if by chance some paid excursions come up, I would encourage you to take advantage of those, because it's just a little more intimate is all. And then of course on the trip, there'll be a welcome reception. So we'll have some wines and kind of meet and greet. 2 wine seminars. Not exactly sure what we'll talk about this time, but
we have time to decide.
We have time to decide, but for many of you that have chuckled, I've done a wine closure one before, and I did that on Rhone. I don't know that I'll do that one again because people will be bored to tears. And then of course we have wine pairing dinners, where we'll bring some of our wines. And I will tell you that we usually bring so either new release or some things that are from our library. So there'll be some things that you'll get to taste that have maybe aged a little bit more, and you can perhaps remember, if you've been with us for a while, what that tasted like a long time ago and what does it taste like now, and then pairing that with the food. And I will say the chefs on board work really well. We tell them the wines and we sit down and we go through and they say, here's what we have, here's all the things we can put together. And we've been able to, every time we've done this, make an excellent pairing between the wines that we've brought and what food they can make on board.
And the chefs and the crew everybody is so talented and so nice and so eager to please your every need and want that you won't be lacking for anything at any point in time.
By day 2 or 3, the bartender will just ask you when you come to the bar, do you want whatever you've been
They'll know
ordering?
what you want.
Yeah.
That's a nice problem to have, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, I appreciate that so much. And, as you mentioned, really, and we talk a lot about the heart of Ama, right? Ama means love. AmaWaterways. It's the love of the waterways, love of the rivers. And we are so grateful that we get to explore and have this wonderful adventure together. What I'd like to encourage everyone at this point is I'm going to go ahead and open the screens back up so that you can turn on your cameras, and if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat box, or you can just ask. Of course, the probably one of the more common questions that we have is, is it really dressy on board? And the answer is no. There are no ties required for anyone. Gentlemen, sometimes they bring a jacket, but they usually wear it once and then we never see it again. So you're going to find that it's a very comfortable environment on board, and good walking shoes are an absolute must. And what we usually do is about 30 days before your trip, we try to have another virtual get together for everyone who is booked. And we like to just chat about all the things that we can do to anticipate, any questions, any thoughts that you might have about packing or what to bring. So let me stop sharing this screen and invite you to, well, hello, there's a lot more faces now than there were before. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see you all again. So does anyone have any questions that we can answer for you? I did see that there was one in the chat box, and yes, I will gladly provide a recording. We'll send out a copy of the recording to everyone so you can forward it to friends if necessary. Happy to do that. So yes, any questions?
We were on the Rhone cruise, and one of the delightful nights was to have a mix of the Texas wines and the equivalent French wines. Will we have a night like that?
I don't know. What do you think, Karen Blake? Are we going to do a night like that? Oops, they're muted. There we go.
There we go. I think we have a lot of flexibility in what we want to do.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the challenge, of course, is in Rhone, many of our varietals
our
are
Rhone style.
are Rhone varietals, right? And so we don't grow Cabernet, Merlot, Cab Franc, Petit Verdot. So it's really hard to hit that pairing together
like we did in Rhone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
And
Great question.
And I will say that was one of the more terrifying nights for me. And that.
Oh.
Yeah, it won't be as easy to pull off in Bordeaux because we really don't do Bordeaux style wines as much as we do Rhone and other Mediterranean style wines.
And let's see, someone has asked a question here. Can you add the phone number to your contact again? Oh yes, someone has just put it into the chat box. So for those of you who are looking for the telephone number, it is best to give us a call. You can also email us. And I think some of the team are actually on, those of you who are on on our wine team, if you could just quickly wave real quickly. So you're going to see there's Nargis and Karen and Lorena and Cindy, Lisa, and I see Brian's there too. And the idea is that, and I wanted you to see their faces, right? Because this is a wonderful relationship that we'll have over the next year. Our wine team is very experienced. They have to reach a certain level before they can become part of our wine team. So we're very, very proud of them, but their goal is to make sure that you have a spectacular vacation. So the wine cruise may be part of that. Some people like to go in early. Some people like to stay late. They need help with air and hotels and all that kind of stuff. Oh, I see John just popped in down there too. And so, yes, we can do it all. And our goal is to just, again, have this be a spectacular, spectacular trip for you. So other questions that you might be able to think of?
I think Susan had a question. She was raising her hand earlier.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't see you. Go ahead, Susan.
Oh, I just was wondering if we would have access to the upper deck whenever we wanted to go up there and enjoy the view. Are we free to go up there?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's a great question. And of course, because it's going to be great weather, the time of year that you're there, it's a perfect time to go up there and either whether it be playing a game of chess or, you know, with those giant chess pieces, or just sitting there with a glass of wine and watching it. One of the things that very few people recognize is the quiet boxes that Ama uses. So when you're on tour, the groups are very small. Remember how I talked about how there's 3 levels of walking. And so if you could imagine, by the time they break this into small little groups, even though you're that intimate, you still have this wonderful opportunity to use the quiet boxes. So you can be about 90 feet away from your guide and still be able to hear. One of the features is that when you go upstairs, if you tap your little quiet box to the wall before you go upstairs, it will actually buzz when you're going past something important. So you could be sipping your wine and be listening to someone tell you what it is that you're seeing as you're sailing by. It's pretty cool. It's really, really nice. So yes, lots of time up there.
And I will say that when Karen and I did this cruise in 19, we availed ourselves of almost every shore excursion, but one day we said, you know what, we're just going to hang here on the boat. And we went onto the top deck, got a book, got a lounge chair, got a
Bottle
of
something.
Provence rosé,
Yeah, probably rosé. I don't know. Maybe
And-
champagne. Who knows?
and sat there and drank wine and read books and sat laid out in the sun. And
it was very pleasant.
and it was a pleasant day. So you have total flexibility in what you want to
Do
do.
as much or as little as you want. Choices are endless.
I think it's called vacation. Yes. I love some of these questions. So let me address a couple times I saw there are questions about the water levels. I'm delighted to say this time of year and this itinerary, not a concern. So that's a really easy one. Yes. So not to worry. Jim, I see you're raising your hand. Hi.
Yeah, I have Kathy and David Couch here with me. Just a couple of quick ones. Are there plenty of slots remaining? What's kind of the timing looking like for needing to make a decision?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that we're having this is because we are already seeing that momentum go pretty quickly. And so while there is still relatively good space, there are a few of the categories that are getting very slim. You know, the most popular ones are the top, the whole top deck is always the most popular, but then also the entry level French balconies. So you're going to find that there are a couple of the categories that are a little bit slim pickings at this point, but still enough space. So I do encourage, it's one of those things where you're not going to want to wait long.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Hey, I see, is it Kim? Yes. I think you're muted though. You have to unmute.
I'm muted. Here we go. I'm muted. Couple quick questions. Is there a service by which, you know, if we go visit a bunch of different tastings and wineries, where if we pick a bottle here and pop a bottle there, where we can get it all shipped back to me, as opposed to have to deal with each entity for shipping?
Brian, would you like to respond to that?
Sure. There is not a service that I'm aware of that is separate for shipping. A lot of the wineries will ship wine back, as you referenced, that you end up, you buy wine here and buy wine there and buy wine there. It's probably something, it's a good question that I don't think I've ever researched. Is there a company in Bordeaux? And because we're kind of in one spot, that's a possibility. And I'll do a little Google research. I have a friend that's one of our guides that we use in Bordeaux, and she would know if there's somebody that can ship like that. So I'll have to, I don't know off the top of my head. Now, you can always bring a case of wine back. You know, I know US immigration will tell you you're allowed 2 bottles for each person. But the bottom line is, if you show up with a case of wine, and I've done this 25 times, you declare it. I have a case of wine. Typically, it's about $1.70 a bottle if you actually had to pay the tax, which is going to be a lot cheaper than shipping it. The last quotes I saw on shipping wine from Europe back to the States was about 150 to 200 euros a case, a 12-bottle case. And I have never had, going through customs, somebody say, oh yeah, go over there so you can pay your fee. They look at you like, we don't have time to deal with collecting $10 from you, you know? So they just, yeah, so I travel a lot with them.
Yeah, I only asked because I've had a couple of vineyards. I've never seen my wine. I paid for it. It never showed up. So
yeah, I'll ask my friend that lives there
yeah.
if she's aware of a service that will, where you can take a case of wine and they'll consolidate it and you pay for shipping. I'm not sure that the reason that we don't see those services is that technically it has to go through customs.
Okay.
And I know
Thank
when we ship Blake and Karen's wine to Europe, we pay a very dear price to do that. You know, we pay about $120 a case to ship the wine from Texas to Europe. And so it's, I think when you have wineries that ship wine to your house, they don't necessarily, and this is in Europe now, not in the US, but I'm not sure they tell everybody that there's wine in that box. Not sure. I'm not the legal guy. But I will ask, I'll ask that question. And yeah, who's your agent? Who are you working with? Or are you signed up yet?
I'm signed up, and I signed up a long time ago, so I don't remember the name of the person in my agent.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
I think Blake wanted to comment on
Is it
that.
Lisa? Okay, I'll get the answer to Lisa and she can send it to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I was just going to
Mike-
comment,
yeah.
Brian, that on the Bordeaux cruise and the Rhone cruise, and we did a Douro River cruise in last November in Portugal, and we have received all of our wine every single time. And for us, the wine that we buy on that cruise, that's our souvenir of the trip.
Right.
You know, and sometimes if we were just going to buy one bottle, then we just brought it back and we either put it in our suitcase or we drank it on board. I mean,
Yeah.
those were the in multiples of 6. So it was either 6 or 12 bottles of wine. It's a little more economical to ship back. It's very expensive to ship one. But I still have one bottle from Bordeaux, and I think it was Right Bank, where they used 100% French oak barrels in it. I tasted it and told the guy, I feel like I just licked a 2x4. And he said, but you haven't waited. You need to wait 12 years. And so
We're waiting.
we're still waiting. It
We're
says
waiting. There
do
you
not
go.
open until 2028. I'm going to prove him right or wrong. I don't know what the answer is going to be. We'll find out.
There you go. Well, I see
Very
some
cool.
questions here, so let me jump into some of these. So there's been a couple questions about pre and post programs extending. So you absolutely can extend pre and post. We have some of the AmaWaterways packages that will be available to you. So when you speak to your consultant, they'll be able to send you ideas of what those pre and posts are. And then if guests want to do something customized, we can certainly do that as well. So absolutely, as far as extending, that's not a problem. And then let's see, Rick, you're saying you went on a cruise in 16. It included a trip to the local cheese and meat shop along with local places. Yes, one of my favorites on this itinerary is going to the marketplace. And you're going to have lots of opportunities for those little local adventures as well on this cruise. Absolutely. Someone's asking, can you show us the stateroom suite options or provide a website where we can look it up? We do have on our website, we have a special link to pictures of all the staterooms as well as the deck plan. And so what we can do is if you just give us a call.
Well, we can send it out with the recording.
Oh, there you go. James is telling me we can just send you also a link out with the recording. But for any of you who are already interested to see it right away, just give us a call and we'll make sure to send you that link immediately. So again, you can just reach us, the 877-651-7447 number, and our wine team, of course, will get that information straight out to you. Or you can send an email to wineclub@expediacruises.com. So that was wineclub altogether at expediacruises.com, and then we can just email it to you. So either way.
And Kim, your answer to, is there a company that will consolidate and ship wine for you? Somebody on the here has done it. And James, maybe you can capture that information and make sure that people can see it when we send out the recording, and it will give you the name of a company that can do that for you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes. And thank you, Rob, for sharing that. That's great. And then Monique is asking if we want to explore Bordeaux beforehand, should we arrive earlier? We truthfully always encourage everyone to arrive at least one day prior, just because we do not want any of those little airline oopsies or delays or weather delays or anything else to prevent you from catching your cruise. But if you want to extend even further than that, yes, we're absolutely more than happy to help you with that. We of course also do air, so we're kind of, well, no, not kind of, we are very full service, and that's what we want to be for anything that you need along this trip. Let's see, other questions?
KK.
Real quick.
Yeah.
We arrived the afternoon before we were boarding the next afternoon, boarding the ship, so a full 24 hours. And we had a great time exploring the city, had some wonderful meals. So yeah, I would advise you to,
In fact, I would,
at
you want
minimum
more
of
time.
Yeah, minimum of 24 hours before you're boarding the ship, and even more than that is great. Bordeaux is a beautiful city.
Yes, lots to see and do there, absolutely. Other questions? Monique, I see you waving a hand. But you're muted.
There she goes.
Hi, I'm Jan.
Hi, Jan.
I do have a question. So the areas that we're going through, do they give you an opportunity, other than just wine and cheese, to purchase a memento, like a really nice Christmas ornament up to artwork?
Yes, and yes, and probably yes, and yes, and yes to whatever we could possibly think of. One of the things that I, again, adore are these small villages where there's lovely little, there's art to see, there's the marketplace, there's lots of, you're going to find Christmas ornaments. As a matter of fact, I remember in La Cité de Vin, they have a little shop there. And one of the things that I have for my Christmas tree is a wine bottle from the wine museum. So there's going to be great opportunities all along the way for both some more contemporary things, but also I loved some of the real authentic crafts that we found along the way as well, that were really interesting to bring home.
Thank you.
Absolutely. No, great questions. I think one of the things that we tend to focus on the wine and food, which is something that I'm sure we all share a love for. That's why we're here talking to one another. But at the same time, there's amazing history in this region. And because of where the rivers are situated, right there, very close to the ocean, right? So sometimes when we think of the European rivers, they're way in interior. This is very close to the estuary, so you're going to find that there were many a conqueror, and there were many a different culture that has come through this region and has left wonderful and fascinating history for us to see. So there will be plenty of that as well. You'll have a chance. Yes, Jane.
I have one more question. So is there any specific reading material that y'all would recommend that would make us love the cruise even more? It would give us more insight into just what the guides are telling us.
Absolutely. And Lisa, you're waving your hand like you want to suggest something.
Yeah, so when I was on the cruise in 2019, they told me if you're into World War II history, also read the book Wine and War. And it's all about the different houses there, wine houses, and how they went through World War II. It was really interesting. I downloaded it on my iPhone and read it during the trip.
Awesome.
There you go.
Thank you.
And in fact, I recall we went to a chateau, and we went into the wine cellar, which was an underground cave, and they told the story of how they protected the wine from the Germans by laying flowers in front of the entrance and telling them this was a tomb for dead people so that the Germans wouldn't go in there. So it's really kind of cool. There's a lot of things that are wine related, but it's not wine related.
There was another one about they built a wall, and then they didn't want the wall to look new. So the little kid was going around and getting spiders to put on the wall so that they would make the web to make it look old.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow.
Rick, I wasn't sure if you were raising your hand. Nope, maybe not. Nope, okay. Good. Other questions that you might have? These are great conversations. I love these. No? Okay. Well, you guys are very quiet. Well, I do want to encourage you that if you do have more questions, we have a whole team that's ready to answer them for you. And we are just excited to invite you to join Karen and Blake on this spectacular cruise in Bordeaux in June of 2024. Again, I'll quickly, at your request, I'll quickly put that screen back up so that you can see it again. And this is how you can go ahead and contact us to ask us any questions. You can both phone or email us. The email there is at the bottom, wineclub@expediacruises.com. And of course, with all of our consultants, if you'd like to see them in person while you're talking to them, everyone's based here in the United States, everywhere across the United States. But yes, you're welcome to also request a video appointment, and we can send you a Zoom link. And that way we can chat that way. So thank you, everyone, for taking the time to spend with us this evening. We certainly hope that we can see you all on board in Bordeaux. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen.
All
and
right,
Blake.
let's fill this
Thank you,
boat
Karen
with
and
all
Blake.
people from Texas.
Hey, we're working on it.
Friends of Lochs.
We're working on it.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Karen.
Thank you.